There's no better feeling in the world than being able to sit down at the piano and blow people's minds by being able to be a sort of human jukebox, play any song they ask for. Then if they don't know a song, you're able to pull it up on your phone, listen to it real quick, and play it for them right then and there in less than 60 seconds. In this video, I want to show you the 4 skills you need to learn to be able to get so good at piano that people think you're a wizard. I grew up playing piano, but I just kind of played piano in the traditional sense as a kid. I read music. I could kind of play a couple snippets of song by ear, but not without like a real understanding of it, not able to command it, create music out of it, express in a way that really moved people. It wasn't until I got to high school that I started to really develop these skills. But when I did, something amazing happened. Not only did I start to get good at piano and have all the benefits of that, starting to get gigs, starting to get performance opportunities, I also got a lot more positive attention from colleagues, from girls, from friends. My confidence went way up. My willingness to try new things, to take risks, to express myself in new ways has blossomed from developing these skills and really becoming a master of the piano. So if you want to really level up, not just as a piano player, but like as a person in your social life, these are skills to really learn and get mastery over. Let's jump on in. First thing is music theory applied. I use the word applied here because I think this is an important distinction that people miss. You want to be able to not just understand music theory in a classroom setting, but have it be able to be demonstrated in your fingers in time. I think people who love theory and people who hate theory do so for the same reason, because it's like a classroom sort of thing. The people who love it can nerd out and go, wow, there's all these modes to memorize. There's all these chords with these big extensions to learn and explore. And the people who hate it get overwhelmed by all the possibilities exciting to those who love it, but to people who hate it, they get overwhelmed by all that possibility. The truth is, both groups are missing something fundamental if they aren't taking those concepts and applying them to the playing. So what I mean by that is, maybe you love music theory and you want to learn all the modes, but as a mental exercise, it only takes you so far, and unless you can actually demonstrate that in your fingers, unless you can say, yeah, I understand G Lydian in a way where it's not just like, oh, I could tell you that G Lydian is like G major with the sharp 4, but be able to generate G Lydian ideas. If you watch my videos, you know I'm big about being able to talk while you're doing it. Do it in a bunch of different ways, right? So how might you go from not doing that at all to doing that? Well, pick a simple theory concept. Pick something that you already have a grasp over or is easy to put a grasp over, like C major. C major is all the white keys. So even if you're terrified of theory, you can start there. Just C to C, white keys. You can even play it like that. I won't get mad at you. But being able to take that and really understand that scale beyond just like, okay, it goes up, down, whatever, but being able to play it, for instance, multiple octaves. And back down, right? This is more than just being able to understand it in a classroom setting, but being able to execute on it. Being able to play it with different intervallic compositions. So in thirds, in fourths. Being able to do other combination of notes like triads. Back down. Maybe 7th chords. Notice I can do these automatically. We're just in C, but I could do this in any key. If we want to do G flat major. Right? Very easy. Back down. Why not? Right, we're in G flat major. I feel confident I can just make up G major music. So music theory applied. If you hate music theory, understand that music theory is just putting sounds, associating the sounds you can get with different types of note combinations with emotions. If you love music theory, that's great, but slow down and pick one thing to actually love with your fingers, not just with your mind. because doing this will give you fluency in all the different keys, in all the different scenarios, so that you can much more easily do the second skill, which is memorizing music with mastery. Who's more likely to be a really, really amazing musician? The person who has 10 songs memorized, or the person who has 100 songs memorized? Or what about the person with 1,000 songs memorized, or 5,000 songs memorized? Seems like the logic is pretty obvious that if you know more songs, you're more likely to have fluency, because songs will be in different keys, different meters, they have different melodies, different tricks, different progressions. And learning 5,000 songs, you'll sure have a lot of tools. So the second skill to learn is to memorize music with mastery. A lot of people run into troubles where they learn music by reading music, and maybe they play piano lessons from when they're like 5 years old up through high school. And in high school, they can play some complicated music, some Chopin or some Bach or some Mozart or even like a Rachmaninoff piece. But the problem is they don't learn it in a deep way. They kind of just read the music and by rote learn. It's like I put my fingers here and then here and then here. And they could get it memorized for like a solo and ensemble competition. But 3 months goes by, it's out of their ears, out of their fingers, they're toast. Also, maybe they learned a really complicated song like junior year of high school, and then they go senior year, they learn a different complicated song. Well, that one was out the window. The bandwidth for having songs in your head is low. So memorizing music with mastery is partially about increasing the amount of music you can possibly have memorized. So how do we go about doing this? Well, first, we want to take the music theory applied that I talked about before and bring it here. So if you have a song in A flat, it's going to be a lot easier to memorize the song if you know all your A flat chords. You know, as chords, as arpeggios, broken, you understand simple progressions in A flat. You understand out of key notes in A flat and how to address those, right? And your fingers are just prepped for that key. So the more you understand the theory in your fingers, the easier it's going to be to memorize music. But then as far as practically memorizing music, here's a few things to consider. One, it's easier to memorize music if you've listened to it and then slept. You know, they did a study in rats where they had rats do these mazes, and then they put scanners on their brain. And while they were sleeping, they noticed that like the brain was firing in like the same way it had to fire to do the maze, but in rapid succession. Something happens when we sleep where our brain will review some of the stuff we were thinking about throughout the day. And I have found through my 15-year career that when I have to learn a song quickly, if I listen to it and then the next day go to work on it, I'm way more likely to just like get it in my ears, get it in my fingers on the first try than if I don't have that sleep time. So if there's a song you want to memorize, listen to it like every day you listen to it. When you sleep, it's going to get deeper into your ears. Then what you want to do is you want to pick out the two most important elements of the song, which are the melody and the root progression, the chord progression, and learn both of those. If you can play the melody by itself really confidently, you know, autumn leaves. I can play the melody by myself. I'm so confident. I know where every note is. I can even improvise on it, right? Then you want to be able to learn the bass line. Not trying to be impressive here. This is the bare bones, just the root notes. Getting those two things memorized will be well on the way to having the whole song memorized. Then as you learn more music theory, you can learn how to chunk that stuff together. So it's not like 8 bass notes I need to memorize, but it's a progression. It's 2, 5, 1, 4, and then 2, 5, 1 to the 6. If you don't know what that means, it's totally okay. Just focus on starting to memorize some songs by really learning the melody, really learning the bass line. Then being able to improvise on it. One other way to make sure you really know it is to be able to sing. If you can sing the melody or sing the bass line, it's way more in your ears. And the thing about memorizing music in this way, if you really learn it so that you're not dependent on the music, you're not shaky on the bridge, but you could be woken up in the middle of the night and said, play Autumn Leaves. You could sit down, you could play it confidently. When you start to learn 10, 20, 30 songs that way, there's a domino effect where it actually gets easier to learn more songs. There's only 12 notes. There's a finite combination of notes that are like consonant, and people write songs with this degree of consonance in it for the most part. So that would be the second skill to develop, is memorizing music with mastery. The third skill you want to develop is a melodic sense that's really strong. What was my term I came up with? Superhuman melodic sensibilities. Wow, Danny, you're so cool. And so when you are able to play music theory applied, be able to play a lot of different things in different keys, and you learn a lot of songs, you'll start to develop this skill to be able to just play songs by hearing them in your head. And this is where the real fun happens, where somebody will ask me if I know a song. And if I've just heard it on the radio, I can just like conjure it up in my head. Like that Taylor Swift song, I remember doing this way long time ago, right? That's I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. I don't know if I've ever really listened to that song and played along with it, but my melodic sensibility is so strong that I can just hear it in my head and feel where it is, and using the music theory applied knowledge I've learned, be able to quickly actually make that song happen. So how do you develop this skill? Start with really simple melodies. Humble yourself enough to start with frickin' Mary Had a Little Lamb. Probably way slower than this. I'm going fast because it's a video and I'm nervous. Let your ear teach you that one. Then train your ear to start on a different note. Bum, 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 bum. Find it there. Nursery rhymes are your best friend here because hopefully if you've been playing music for any amount of time, you can kind of hum these. You could sing these a little bit, right? Old MacDonald. Christmas songs. I'm filming this 2 days before Christmas. These simple nursery rhymes, Christmas songs, hymns, what's nice about them is they don't have a bunch of extra fluff to them. Like a song on the radio might have a simple melody, but with a singer who's going to sing all these ornaments and like extra things. There'll be background vocals. There'll be a bunch of instruments. But nursery rhymes and simple kids songs, you can find very distilled versions of them to figure out. And if you figure out these melodies, maybe in a couple different keys, you'll start to develop this superhuman melodic sensibility I'm talking about. You'll start to be able to just like, somebody will say the name of a song and you can hear it. You know, lately I've been joking on gigs. I'm trying to see how much I can sneak the YMCA song into there. Figure that out from going to the recording and spending an hour transcribing the YMCA. That song was popular when I was a kid. I feel like that was like a school assembly song that would happen in elementary school, middle school. Like that's a song that's just in my ears because of the time and culture I grew up in. So I'm able to just go bum bum, like immediately I feel that's 5/3. I feel that right away. And I can do that with songs where I hear them and I can feel what are the chord tones, what's the bass line immediately. These skills build on top of each other. I mean, you can work on them all at once, but they do build on each other. So music theory applied. If you know your scales really well, then you memorize a lot of music. It's going to be easier to just conjure music up in your ear. The final skill, and this is the one that slept on the most, and I am kicking myself a little bit for putting it last, but I think it makes sense in the stack, is becoming a rhythm master. I took lessons from Nick Semrad once. I took a handful of lessons from Nick Semrad for a period of time in my early 20s. And he said to me that when he really worked on his time feel and his groove and started to be the musician in the room with the best time feel was when all of a sudden all sorts of musical doors opened for him. So quick aside, I just got to play at a late night jam with the drummer Adam Deitch, drummer for Lettuce, and he said to me, "You got great time feel. I love keyboard players with great time." And we became buddies because my time feel was so strong. Rhythm is king. All this stuff is cool, but if you can't play in time, nobody's going to want to dance. Nobody's going to groove. The emotion that the music can really create makes sense when it's in time. Music is just sound decorating time, right? So we want to be able to play in time. Working on this, I would just say, make sure you use your metronome. Make sure when you learn a song, you have dedicated time where you say, I'm going to play this with the metronome. And then also don't rely on the metronome to give you every beat. When you're starting to feel secure, take beats away. Have the metronome just on 2 and 4 or 1 and 3, or just 1, or click even less than that. Play without a metronome and record yourself and listen to where you speed up or slow down. Time is mostly about a focus thing, but the reason I'm putting this last is because if you have those other 3 things together, if you know the theory in your hands really well, you have music memorized, you can hear melodies quickly, that gives you the mental space to focus on the time. The way to get really strong time through a myriad of exercises is to spend a lot of brain energy focusing on the pulse. Get the pulse really strong. Right? Really strong time. You can make a lot of music happen with just a couple notes. And you want to have command over the notes that you're going to play so that you can focus on the time. Those 4 skills are it. If you can develop that, you can become a wizard at the piano. You can become somebody who can just sit down at the piano and make people's days instantly by just being able to whip out their favorite song or just improvise something on the spot. If you want to learn more about this, make sure you click like and subscribe to get more videos. Drop a comment and let me know which tip helped you out the most. Which one do you feel like you struggle with the most? Then if you want to figure out how you could level up your piano playing, study deeper and dig more into piano, get to that level faster, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram at Adventure with Danny. Happy practicing, y'all! I'm a wizard.